Hospice, helping people and their families with the end-of-life journey. Our journey began on September 9th, 2005. 2 weeks before her 47th birthday, my sister was diagnosed with pancreatic cancer. And we all think we come from big families when we're struck with disease. There'll be lots of support and people to help us out. But Wendy wasn't married and had no children. My parents live in Pincher Creek and were elderly. My other family lives far away. And we all have jobs. So when it first started with the trips to the hospital and helping her out after surgery, I was the only one of the family that had a flexible job that I could work evenings and weekends and help her out. So it started out with a couple of times a week I would have to drive to Calgary to take her to appointments or help her out. And she was a fiercely independent woman who thought she could do it on her own. But anyone who's ever gone through cancer knows that you can't go it alone. You have to have support. So I was the caregiver. And as the caregiver, you continue to do what needs to be done. And you don't like to whine because you're not the one that's dying. So what have you got to complain about? But after months of getting up, driving to Calgary, spending the day, coming home, going to work, getting my own work done, you start to feel overwhelmed. And after the months turned into a year, and with the chemo, and as she deteriorated, it became harder and harder. And yet, caregivers don't want to complain. You never feel right complaining that you have to do that. It's the right thing to do. In January of 2007, the liaison nurse at Tom Baker talked to us about hospice. And I realized that this was the soft place we needed to fall back on. But Wendy did not want to go into hospice because that's where people go to die. And she wasn't dying. But after we visited the Rosedale Hospice and she saw the peace and contentment that the people felt there, she said, okay, I will go in just to get my strength back. So she went in, and I can honestly say that when we left her there that day, I felt like a weight had been lifted from my shoulders. I felt like everything was going to be okay. Our journey ended on February 17th, 2007. They called me. I was on my way to Calgary to pick up my daughter who was flying home from California to see her aunt. And they called me and told me that Wendy had passed. So we went to Calgary, and when we walked in, we discovered the funeral home had not been there yet to pick her up. And when I walked into the room, all the pressure of the last 18 months descended on me, and I felt like the floor was torn out from under me. And once again, the hospice staff, with their incredible calm and understanding, got me through that day. And I don't know what I would have done without it. Everyone's going to take the journey, some sooner, some later. I am just so glad that my sister, even though it was too soon, was able to die with grace and dignity, thanks to hospice.
So